Okay, so can we still see my screen? So someone is asking if there is a technique to sharing. Someone is asking if there is a technique to sharing um, to developing financial reports. I do. There are different templates I think you can download online, and you can always create it yourself. Basically, just showing. Um, um, I used to think I know how to do financial report until I saw our accountant doing it, and I know that I did not know. So I would say you can take a course online about financial reporting and how to put together your financial report. But my advice would be you either sit down with an engineer and I said an engineer, an accountant, and let them do it in front of you, or while you learn, or you just ask them to teach you. It has some basic things that they have to obey, and like all those depreciation and all those terms. I actually do not know what all of those things mean. I just know that they build it into it, and so you can just do a course on basic accounting online. So so we can see this Excel sheet, right? Please, you can see the Excel sheet. Just show your hand. Okay, great. So so for this Excel sheet, you will see this is a dummy project. I used it to teach a class. So Shay, this is the answer to your question. Cost sharing basically is you saying that you saying that you want to show that you are putting in efforts towards the project. You want to contribute a part of the money that you need to implement that project. And um, this is a very vital sign to funders. They want to see that you are sharing a part of the money. So like for this project, the total cost for this project is 107,745, and 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 we are cost sharing about 11% of it, which is $12,250. So we are asking USAID for $95,000. So cost sharing basically is saying what you would be taking care of, or what you'll be contributing to the project. So a lot of big funders always want you to cost share. Mercator, USAID, USADF, even US Embassy, State Department, they always want you to cost share. And even if they've not asked you to cost share, always show that sense of cost sharing. Um, um, Showing them that you 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 have something to contribute as well, and you're not just depending on them alone to fund your entire project. So that is what cost sharing means. Now, cost share, I'm sure you might be wondering that, just like the question someone asked yesterday, that what if I don't have any experience? What if the organization does not have any money to bring to the table? So it does not work that way. The way it works is the way it works. Oh my God. Okay, I'm recording. Thank God. I totally thought I did not start the recording. So as I was saying, that what the organization does not have to the organization does not have to have all of this figured out. You don't have to have money saved for cost sharing. There are tricks around it. So one of the easiest trick is this. Remember what I said yesterday about the fact that even your presence in the community is an asset. The fact that you are helping a funding organization achieve their mission means that you are being paid to do the work for them. I hope you understand that. So which means that you should charge them for everything that you are contributing towards that project. Don't let and this is another example of where you don't allow passion to overcome your logic. It is not, when it comes to implementing projects, you are implementing the project for the funder, and it is not that they are helping you. So it's more or less contractual in nature. So for your own sake, it is important that you remain accountable. You remain detailed in everything that will be going into the project. A lot of times we shoot ourselves in the leg because we are coming from a fundraising, self-funding, or maybe a donation-driven mentality or background where we just manage and manage and manage and do the project, or manage to bring everything together, both things we can account for and things we cannot account for, to do a project. But in grants, in implementing grant projects, the game is different. For you to be able to maximize the opportunity, you have to be very accountable. So accountability in this sense is not just for reporting, or for so that your funder will see you as a good person, but it's also so that you don't shoot yourself in the leg, so that you don't just work and get nothing out of it, or you spend things that are not accounted for. So you want to be very detailed in your accountability. A typical example is what I'll show you here in terms of venue. So if the actual cost of getting a venue is $1,000 for a day, but you know someone that has a venue, and the person is willing to give you that venue for $850 per day. Then when you write your budget, or when you even write your report, you don't write that venue as 850. You write the venue as 1,000, but you show that in kind. You remember what I taught you about social capital, which also depletes like normal money. So you account that you are paying that 150 with your social capital, which also has monetary value, which is in this case $150. So you realize that we've not brought out any money from our accounts, but we've brought out capital from our social capital. So let me use YID for example. So for those of you that attended the program in Lagos, for instance, you realize that we used ACLs and we used American Corners. Those are cost shared. So we wrote it in our financial reports that we cost shared venue, which was what someone else gave to us, but we didn't have to pay for it from our pocket. So always account for the social capital spent, the time spent, and every resources that is spent. And that is why it is important that you go through every detail of how your idea would be implemented. By the time all of you submitted all your final ideas, we'll be giving you a worksheet to work with, and that worksheet will guide you to create detailed activities for how to implement each of those ideas that you've listed out. So you will see another one here, facilitators. This is assumed that one of us will be taking one of the classes. So we said we are going to pay honorarium of $100 per facilitator. So here we said, okay, we are cost sharing $50 per facilitator. This is based on the fact that, oh, we have a relationship with that facilitator, and the moment we beg the person, we can pay the person $450 and keep $450. So every discount that we get goes into our cost sharing, because we are the ones spending our social capital. So I don't know if it was Tolani that raised I don't know if it was Tolani or John that raised the idea of writing a proposal for a 1,000 budget proposal for 100 people. That proposal could have been justifiable if you had used the idea of cost sharing. So if you had written out all your spending and all the things, I understand that in your own mind, it is possible for you to use $1,000 to implement that kind of project, because you know you can always get a lot of free resources, free labor, and all of those things around. But it is important for you to document it. So it would have been helpful if you had documented that as cost shared. So you would tell them that, okay, this project would cost 2,500, but we're asking for 1,000. We are going to raise, or we have raised 1,500. Then it makes more sense to them. So, and it does not look wishy-washy. So you realize that a lot of projects that you've done are actually more expensive than you think they are. They took more than you have documented, and that also as an undermining that kind of undermines your financial report as an organization as well, because you don't account for all of those things. A lot of organizations don't even record cash spent out of pockets, which is not meant to be so. Every penny, every sweat should be recorded and evaluated. I hope that makes sense to us. So I hope we are clear about what cost sharing is, and I wouldn't go into budgeting as such, but this is what a budget should look like. I can provide you guys with a template if if you guys submit all your assignments by this week, then I can give you a template grant proposal budget. So this should be very detailed. You see, it has number of people per location, the amount per person. It should be this detailed, like very, very detailed, like very, 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 very detailed. And if you're for instance buying a computer, for instance, if you're buying a computer as part of your project, then you can put it somewhere there. You can, if you're buying a computer or any gadgets, it must be detailed. You must write the serial number of the exact type of gadget that you're buying, the number of gig, the number of inches, the RAM, all the specifications. So if you're buying a computer, you must write that in as detailed as possible. That is one of the major rules that a lot of people don't obey as well. Fald, you can ask your question.
Thank you, sir. I think I would like to ask a question around the point you are just making now. We are supposed to have like an advocacy campaign wherein one part of our logistics would include us going to remote locations, and we need to buy an ILOS, for instance, a Toyota Jeep ILOS as part of those things required for the project. How do we dispense of this issue, given that even after our project has gone, the ILOS would not definitely be forfeited with the project? Who retains that project, and how do we make sure that that is accounted for? Is it going to be in remittance of the organization that's us, or is going to be returned back to the organization that's sponsoring the funders organization? That's my question.
So it depends on the policy of the funder. Some funders, when you buy those things, the reason why they are asking you to document is that in details is so that you can collect it back, and they will know that it is what you bought that you're collecting back. So some 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 um, some funders will and will leave it with you, while some funders will collect it back. But I think quite a number of funders actually collect it back.
Wow. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other question as regards this?
Yes, I was raising up my hands. Good evening,
Oh,
sir.
so sorry. I'm trying to arrange my screen. I have a lot of things going on. So sorry.
No problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I'm outside though. So let me just step out. So last year I was working on a grant for my organization, and I was asking some people questions about how grant works. So say for example, I have to write a grant, and the grant I'm writing has to do more with paying third parties. Is there a chance or a possibility of you getting grants that would allow you to be able to pay third parties? Like, let me give you an example. Say I want to do a toolkit, and maybe the kit is like a computer, and I want to have, and maybe one computer costs $200 or $2,000, and say I want to have like 50 boxes, and that's $2,000 times 50 boxes. And somebody, I don't know if there are grants that will allow you to write, to pay third party that kind of amount. And if there's no grant like that, how do you go about, if the project you are doing covers entails if the project you are doing is solely dependent on having a toolkit to be able to solve that problem? How do you go about it? That's my
So,
question.
a lot of funders allow you to put that under contractual. So what I mean by contractual is, I'm trying to see if I can show you. There is a grant like that I think I was applying for. The current US Embassy grant that is open has something like that on their budget template. So you can always put everything you're contracting out to a third party under contractual. I can't find the document now, but if I find it, I'll probably show it to you guys. I'm coming. 1 second. Okay. Um, 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 so 1 second. I'll have to reshare the one I just opened. Okay. 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 So can you see my screen? Can you see my screen now? So this is public affairs section Abuja annual program statement. This is their budget templates. You don't necessarily have to use the template, but you can still use it if you want to. And this is so for those kind of things, you can either put it under equipment, or you can put it under contractual. So contractual is basically the things you're outsourcing. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but these are basically things that you are outsourcing and giving to other people. So it is allowed. You just have to be able to defend all of these things under your budget narrative. So there is something called budget narrative, a detailed explanation of each of the line items, each of these line items. You put in a detailed explanation of, okay, this is who I'll pay it to, this is what it will be used for, and this is why I'm asking for this money in the first place. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, it's clear. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Shegun. Thank you.
Okay, you are welcome. So let's quickly jump into, I believe I've kind of covered everything that needs to be said really about grant writing. There are some other parts to it, like or perhaps let me just go through one for one very last time. then I can move to something else. So from our discussion yesterday, we've talked about problem or need statements. We've before now, from our previous conversation, rather, we've talked about problem or need statements. We've talked about we will talk about monitoring and evaluation in future. We can talk about project sustainability now. Yesterday, we talked about institutional experience and we talked about budgets today. For if you're going to make a profession as a grant writing, as a grant writer, then you have to know how to use Excel very, very well. In fact, if you're ever going to be working in non-profits, you should know your Excel very, very well. It's a tool that you will always need all the time for financial modeling and budgeting or financial reporting. So it is important that you know Excel to a large extent. We'll talk about evaluation plan later, but project sustainability is also one key part that I really want to be practical about it. So I would postpone it to whenever you guys submit all your ideas and you begin to develop methods and approaches for each of those ideas that you've prioritized or selected. Executive summary is basically something that summarized all your entire proposal. So it's basically the thing you write last. I know a lot of you have written research projects before where you wrote abstract and all the likes. So yes, I would send you a budget template. I may not be able to send a financial report template. I don't have any, except I'll send you our financial reports, which I don't know if I am allowed to share. But you can always look at it online. There are plenty online, and I would only share the budget templates when you submit all your pending assignments. Thank you. So before I move to other fundraising ideas, any other question as regards grant writing? Any other? Okay,
hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so in cases where you have to report like logistics and support with receipts, in cases where you have like logistics like transportation for instance, and most times you don't get receipts for this kind of things. I don't know, how do you report it in your finance? And I want to also ask, do you support all your costs like in your financial report? Do you have receipts for everything? Like you have to ensure that you try and have like a way of like a proof of the expenditures for your financial report. I don't even answer my question.
I think I understand your question. So like I said yesterday, that most funders may not ask you for receipts, but your auditors will ask you for a receipt at the end of the year when you're auditing your accounts. So one of the reasons why I'm actually, our financial report is meant to be available publicly, but one of the reasons why I cannot share this particular financial report I just showed you, because it has not been audited yet. It was meant to be audited last month, but we had to prioritize our 200K to do something else. The auditors collect between 150 to 250 sometimes, depending. I don't know why they are that expensive. But so that's why, as you network now, start looking for an auditor friend or someone that has the stamp that can make your life, that can save you a whole lot of money if the person.
Thank you.
Yeah, if the person would be willing to help you out. So your auditors will ask you for a receipt. They will have to match that receipt to every financial documentation you've made, every money that you said you spent. So there has to be a receipt. So for your even if it's fuel that you buy, even if it's transportation, you can always ask for receipts. So if you take Uber, you can keep an inventory of all your Uber receipts. If it's public transport, what we try to do, which we still struggle with, to be sincere, is to let every of our every person that is that is seeking reimbursement or that is seeking money to do an activity or the other. We have what we call requisition form. It used to be a form, a printed form that you will fill. Then I and the financial officer have to sign before money can be released. But now we've turned it to a Google form, which makes it easy. So let me see if I can open it online. Zozo payment or something like that. So it's like a form online where you can I don't know the link offhand, but basically just an online form where you can request for money. So as you request for money and you are being paid, we have a record of that. So that we show to our auditors, and they know what the money was used for and where the money go to. So that's how we try as much as possible to record such money by having a signed requisition form. For money like maybe you have to take a public bus that they don't issue receipts, or buy things that they don't issue receipts. But for everything that you buy that issues a receipt, then you should have a receipt for your auditor. And also you could also benchmark it for anything that we are buying that is more than 20,000, then there has to be a receipt for it. So I don't know if I've answered your question, have I?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. So as we go forward, I'll quickly just walk us through this slide, and I'll quickly walk us through this slide. I hope we can see this slide. They can be very petty, fouled. They can be very petty. They can trace as low as 100 naira. So they can be very petty. They can trace down at as low as 100. And I also think you may not be running your organization for life. You may get a job at WHO, UN, or any of those big organizations, and they are more petty with money. So the more you train yourself to be that finicky and accountable, the better. So what is fundraising? I know a lot of you know, a lot of you do fundraising, and you know some of the things I'll be sharing with you today already. But I hope by the time we finish this discussion, you would have a different perspective as to what fundraising should look like and how you should raise funds. And ideally, if I'm not raising against time, I would have asked each and every one of you to tell me what fundraising is. But today, I'm kind of raising against time, and I'm racing against time, so I will not be asking you. But basically, what fundraising is all about is whatever you do, the or the act of collecting or producing money for a particular purpose, especially for charity. So you will see the part that I have just highlighted. I like this word producing. So it is not just collecting from people, you can be producing as well, which goes in line with the idea of social entrepreneurship. So, fundraising in the contemporary, in the conventional sense, is the process of gathering voluntary contributions and money or other resources by requesting for donations from individual businesses, charitable foundations, and etc. So, some basic truths about fundraising. Your organization is not entitled to support. Always know this. So it is not an entitlement for, even in life, it is not an entitlement for anybody to give you money. You must always show value. So people support value and not because you're entitled to it. I used to play with this analogy that if you ask your uncle for money, or this happened to me, I asked one of my uncle for, I think, 100K or so. He did not give me. And then after like 2 months, he came back, he came by the house and he was complaining about how he had lost 1 million naira to MMM. And I was like, oh my God. See this dude, I was saying, I did not even say give me. I was asking you to loan me 100,000, but you did not loan me. But you lost 1 million to MMM. What happened in that scenario is that MMM had a better value proposition to him than me. So it means that I did not propose enough value to him to give me 100, but MMM had enough value proposition for him to drop 1 million naira. So when people tell you that they don't have, it does not actually mean that they don't have, but they just don't think you deserve their sacrifice, or they don't think that the value that you are proposing or the value that you have to them is worth letting go, that they are limited resources. So it is important that you know that you are not entitled to be supported or to be helped. It is something that you earn. It is based on value. The second thought is fundraising is not just raising money, it is raising friends. I know I've told you guys before that from fundraising starts from friend raising. So you don't raise money by begging. Never ever beg for it. I also emphasized this yesterday, that you should not beg. The fact that you beg does not mean that you'll be supported. In fact, people that are perceived poor get less. People that are perceived less and poor, they always get less. For you to really get big support, you have to be perceived rich. It is, I don't know why, but it is just the way our world works. So the fact that you're perceived poor would only make them give you crumbles, but crumbs rather. I said crumbs, but but a perception that you are rich would 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 make people give you something big because they think that you don't deserve less, or because they think that less will not mean so much sense to you. So this is important. Don't wait for the right moment to ask anyhow. So ask when you need it, ask when you don't have, always asking. And please don't be shy about asking. I don't know how many of you get emails from organizations like Global Peace, Global Ambassador Foundation, Global Peace Foundation, even Obama Foundation. Every email that they send to you has donate under it. They are not shy about donating. I have been following the US election, and the way those politicians beg for money is almost ridiculous. They ask you if you pinch $3, we will win Pennsylvania. If you're pitching $10, we will do this. So even if it's, so they beg for money. they are not begging for it anyways. They ask for money at every point, at every opportunity in time. They ask you to donate. So always ask, keep asking. And the fact that you keep asking will put you on your toes, and you will have to always have a value to propose. Treat prospects and donors as you would treat customers. This is important. Run your organization like a business. So people that donate with you, or people that have a tendency of donating to you, treat them as customers. So the same way you do end of the year, the same way organizations do end of the year, and they send calendars and also all those souvenirs or props to people. You could also do that to potential donors. Like I used to boast of this one, that if you go to the US consulate and you get to their grants department, you'll see a Zozo Network pillow there. If you get to DC, in a couple of organizations that we've worked with, you will see our throw pillows there. Let them get to their office every day and meet you. You understand? Let them enter their office and see your logo. So that way they will not forget you. You'll always be relevant and refreshed in their mind. So treat them as customers. And yes, whenever you're doing fundraising, especially online, try to avoid the commonly used words or the overused, the words that have been overused. Words like the ones you're seeing on your screen. Teach, help. No, sorry. Yeah, even some of these words here, they are overused, like help, save, read, save, change. They are overused. However, what this line of this slide was saying is that you should always start your request with a verb, with an action verb, and that action verb does not necessarily mean you should say, does not necessarily have to do in money. So it could be change the world, teach poor kids, help people read, save the future, and all those other things. And never appear desperate. Try never to use the word desperate. We are in desperate need of this in our organization. Don't ever use desperate, and don't ever sound desperate as well. You don't get money because you sound desperate. The perception of desperation scares people away. Stay away from cliches or commonly used words, which was the point I was going to make earlier. Words like make a difference, words like shush. Try as much as possible to run away from those kind of words. Try to invent new words. Try to do something new. So, is there any question? My system is currently malfunctioning. I cannot. But is there any question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead while I fix my technical glitch.
True. I think I would like you to make some clarifications about two concepts. It has to do with the art of fundraising and the art of making organizations see or key into funders' social impact strategies. I think this has to do with yesterday. You talked about unsolicited proposals yesterday, and of course, in line with our mission, maybe at our organization, we want the organization to partner with us so that we can actually achieve this. How do you make sure that you strike a balance between what they really want and what you want, without veering off why you are trying to satisfy their own needs without veering off your own mission and objectives?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I would say that this is one of the major problems that we still debate and face in the development space globally. I can't remember how many times in the last 6 months that I've had this conversation with different experts, even at the UN level. It's a major problem that the development sector still faces, in the sense that philanthropists, foundations, and funders, dictates what the problem should be and how the problem should be solved. So it is a major constraint of depending on grant funding, actually, because you have to tailor whatever you're doing to the interest of your funder. But what I would say to an organization is for you to target your proposal carefully, research for an organization that is in line with your mission. There are plenty of organizations out there that have money to give, and you don't have to apply to every opportunities there is. You should just look for an opportunity that aligns to you. But it is a major discussion globally because I can't blame those funding organizations as well, because they need, like I explained yesterday, their existence depend on the fulfillment of their mission as well. So they cannot compromise because their founders set them up for a particular purpose, even if that purpose is not what is really needed. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but what the only advice I have for that is to research and look for organization that aligns with you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So it's very similar to the same compromise that we have in fundraising as well. Like, if my organization wants to collect money from politicians, we'll probably be swimming in a lot of money right now. But as a matter of principle, we don't collect monies from politicians, especially Nigerian politicians, for reasons that we know, and 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 that is an organizational standpoint or principle that may not make sense to a lot of people. I have friends that collect money from politicians and they don't care. Some even go to the extent of helping politicians to do all sort of things, um, support their campaign ish and all of those things, which I kind of feel depletes your credibility and the power of your mission. So 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 it depends on different individuals. So you can just have an organizational principle, and I would rather run a proud organization than to have an organization that survives on what is not right or what I don't believe in. So I hope that's clear. So there are clear differences um, between fundraising in the corporate sense and fundraising in the development sense. And what I really want you to be able to do is to match these two qualities that you can see on your screen together. Be able to think as a marketer and be able to think as a development professional as well. It is like very important. So 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 it is important to be able to do this. I don't have to explain each of these contents. You already can see. So it is important that you are able to match the two perspectives together in your organization. This is what I try to do at the Zozo Networks, being able to match these two approaches together. I hope this is clear.
Yes.
Fundraising environment. The fundraising environment is highly competitive, and it is important that you understand the need for creativity. It's also relationship intensive, like I said earlier, and it is goals and number oriented. So it is about how many people, I like to explain it in form of a pyramid. Damla, I'll take your question shortly. I like to explain it in form of a pyramid. There are people at the base of the pyramid, middle of the pyramid, and people at the peak of the pyramid. You need all of this set of people. The people at the base of the pyramid are people that will donate to your 1,000 naira campaign. You need those money to be able to facilitate the logistics of raising funds from the people at the top of the pyramid. And by now, from your dealings with me, you should understand the way I think already in stages and in a strategic pattern of always using the small things to always leveraging on small successes to achieve greater success. So you can raise 1,500 to be able to facilitate your meeting or even gifts to a top of the peak, to a top of the pyramid funder. But you have to be sure that the person would give you money before you spend all your money on the person. But you can use small money to package a very good proposal to a corporate donor that will give you mind-blowing amounts. So, but you should always understand that you are not the only one proposing to them. So your packaging must be tight, must be seriously tight. Use out of the world printing, out of the world graphics, as in be very intentional. Don't be generic. Don't be generic, and communicate as much as you can, and be very creative. I will try to see if I can show you an example of one of our, yeah. I would change my screen very shortly to show you an example of what I mean by, which is not particularly, in my opinion, is not particularly creative, but one of the things my team came up with. So while I bring that up, Larry, please ask your question. Larry, please ask your question.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sorry, my phone got frozen at the point. Okay, so my
My own
question,
laptop
I
is
wouldn't,
frozen
I don't,
too. I don't know why.
I don't know if there's a question or a comment because it's kind of related to what Fuad said and your follow-up comment about collaborating with politicians. Um, for me, I still find myself as very new to the social development sector because I think I started out around 2017. But prior to that time, I've had clients who are into the political space, and I've created a very solid relationship with them, especially here in Illinois. And some of the top political figures here in Illinois happens to be my clients. So these are relationships which I don't really think it's beneficial for me to just throw away, even now that they could be of help, or their money could be of help to my social development work. So what I do most often, so that they just don't take over your project like they definitely will want to do, is I try to use my skills and my expertise as a creative person to give their giving a face. You understand? I make sure that my intentions are not changed, but they determine the face of the giving in such a way that it will not have a political undertone. You understand? It will feature an office that, okay, the office of so person's constituency is or whatever. It will just show underneath, but it will not have a political, overwhelming, domineering undertone. So that's what I have been doing to, secure some local funding here in Ilorin. So I wouldn't know if that is still um, ideal, or if it's an idea that should just be trashed and one should just face or just focus on approaching probably corporate organizations for their CSR and all that.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful perspective that you've provided. I think I should not be overtly simplistic about dealing with politicians. You can actually work with politicians in as much as you can put the necessary safety net in place. you been ensuring that they don't use you for campaign, and they are not funding you for their own. They don't smear you with they don't smear you with anything they may have going on, and all of those things are like the key points I was trying to drive home. But if you can find a way to manage that relationship, it's a very good way to make quick money. When I was a student body leader, I got plenty money from politicians. And when I did some project outside of my organizations, I'd gotten a lot of easy money from politicians. So if it's possible for you to make them support your work, they are the best allies that we should have as development experts. Actually, they are like the best allies we should have in a state or in a situation where things work well. So it is important to just understand how to manage that relationship, or how to ensure that you don't work against your own principles. So it's just that care that I think I should emphasize. So thank you for that perspective. That's really helpful. So I wanted to show you something our team developed one time ago, last year rather. This is the Adopt a Team campaign. This is fundraising, but it does not look like fundraising when you look at it. It looks like a campaign, but this is actually fundraising. And as you can see on your screen, it kind of brings the donors into the process. So it is not just give us money. You will not see anything like help. You will not see anything like give us money per se. So it looks like a program on its own, a process on its own, and in which one of the processes just for you to donate. So this is an example of creativity. This is I don't know if this is super creative, but I hope it inspires you to begin to think about how you raise money in creative ways. So this is like FAQ for the whole idea. Okay. Any question? Any other question or clarification? Bright, can you mute your mic? Thank you. So there are other fundraising concepts that you should know, both online and offline. I don't know if it was on this group or another class that someone was asking me about crowdfunding. So another very good way to raise money is using crowdfunding platforms like Global Giving, Kickstarter, GoFundMe, Indiegogo, Impact Fund, and all the likes. GoFundMe does not work in Nigeria, but if you have someone that has a US or UK account, they can raise money. They can raise money using GoFundMe. God, they can raise money using GoFundMe. So I think my one of my most successful GoFundMe campaign was in 2015 or so, or 2016, where we raised about 10 million naira for one guy in 10 days using online crowdfunding, basically using individual people to donate 1,000 naira, and we also hosted a GoFundMe campaign. So there are different online platforms where you can discuss your idea, tell the story of your idea, and get funded, get people to donate. So the idea of crowdfunding is basically getting a crowd of people you don't know from all over the place to chip in small amounts to your cause. Yeah, you can also leverage online giving days. There's like Giving Tuesdays, some global giving days, some Christmas, New Year, public holidays that people feel charitable. So you can also leverage all of those. It's also important that you have a donations page on your website. You can also be selling the product online to raise money. So you hike the amount, you hike the amount a bit so that people, and let people know that for every product they buy, they are donating to your cause, whatever your cause might be. Another one is that, which actually could work in Nigeria, but we don't do it. Things like hosting a fundraising work. People that do rag day and all of those things actually raise a lot of money from someone that wrote one paper on it. So I think it's also possible for us to actually do awareness work and also raise money. Um, Donation match is another very good thing that a lot of organizations do. If someone raises, which is something I'm experimenting with some of our volunteers as well. If they need to get to do something, if you can raise 50% of the money, then we'll match it with 50% for them. So that's donation drive, match rather. Okay, so I just showed you an example of sponsor a child campaign. So 10 basic fundamentals of fundraising that you should live with is this: you should ask, and after you ask, always thank them. Never ever collect money from anyone and not thank them at least 3 times. So send email, send text message, give a phone call, thank them like 3 times. Thank them even a year after to let them know to let them know that you're grateful. Build relationships, and always know that fundraising is an ongoing process. It is an ongoing process. It does not stop. So you have to keep asking and asking. And it's possible for you to get 9 no's before a yes. So do not let a no stop you. Like I said yesterday, do not let a no stop you. A no is an opportunity to begin a new conversation. Develop your case first. So spend your time to really understand your cause and understand the problem you're trying to solve. Be very clear about what outcomes you want your beneficiaries to have. Then that will help you to be able to sell it well and raise funds very well. And it's also important that you diversify your funding base. This is a message I preach all the time. And diversify your fundraisers as well. So like my organization, we have people that we ask them money only once in 2 years, so they don't get fat sick. We have people that we ask them money for a specific type of program, and we don't ask them for all the kind of programs that we have. And it's okay for you to take it cool, learn through the process, understand that it is a learning process. It is a learning process. This whole idea of raising money, the more you try to raise money, the more you learn how to raise money. So do not get tired, even if it does not work. If an approach does not work, just keep trying another approach. A lot of people are not interested in fundraising, and they get tired of it because they feel it's an embarrassment to try to raise money and you don't get it raised. No, it's a learning process. Just keep just keep raising it. And if you live in a place like the US, you will understand that fundraising is a career. So when you see roles like what they call them again, head of development or head of major gifts, or head of or director of development. Those are fundraising roles. So it is someone's job to actually be begging for, not begging now, to creatively raise money for their organization. That's the person's job. So it is a respectable career, and it is not something of shame. It's okay for you to ask people for money. And it's very similar to community organizing. Just that in community organizing, you are asking people to bring their expertise and to be a part of a cause, to support a cause with their words, their mouths, their presence, and all the likes. So it is not. It is something that requires a lot of skill, and there are a lot of courses online that you can take to develop all of the skills. So remember that President Obama was a community organizer before he ever became who he is today. So it's not so much of a dirty job as we tend to look at it. So this will be the end of this particular topic, and where I would stop for today. So if you have any questions and any other concerns or anything you would like to raise, this will be the best time for us to go over that.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Right. Um, I wouldn't know who this question is gonna help. Maybe me and some other people. But for I've had times whereby I tried crowdfunding, and the response was really discouraging. And one of the comments I got was that people don't know you, so they can't trust you to just um, give out their money. So what can we do to, apart from, I understand that you told us about the creative part of it, how to, design it in such a way that they will feel involved in it. But what are the other things that one needs to take into consideration when you're embarking on crowdfunding that won't make you look like a scam or something?
Yeah, thank you. So one thing that really makes crowdfunding work, and which I did not mention, is the thing about all those crowdfunding platforms is that they're actually not doing anything for you. You are the one still doing your work. It is your community that donates and not random people online. So when you host a project on Kickstarter or on GoFundMe or Indiegogo or any of those platforms, you you still need to publicize within your community and get people to donate to you. Some general principles: posting online, raising funds on Facebook or online, or posting on your timeline hardly works. It only works if you can tell a compelling story that moves people to be able to do it. And this must be people that have seen your track record, like you just said, people that know you and they've seen the quality of the work that you've done. So you must be able to share compelling success stories, which are very emotional. From experience, things that are deeply emotional get support online. So that's one way. Another thing is also to take that online activity to offline. So you being able to meet people that you know in real life, to tell them to help you share, and reaching out to them one by one. My one of the best practices that I've also realized is when you host a fundraiser online, you should make individual calls to people to support also. So it doesn't work on its own per se. It works with a lot of other efforts by the side. You calling people, you telling them to go to the link, you visiting people, or you engaging people in your community or in your office to share and deliberately send to people that they know. So like for instance, if I'm going to raise $100,000 naira, for instance, now, I will look at 20 of you, and I will tell the 20 of you to help me raise 5,000 each. And I will not tell you to give me the 5,000. I will tell each of you to help me look for 5 people that can give that can give um that can give 1,000, or ask each and every one of you to help me look for 10 people that can give 500, which is also easier. So that way, my relationship with you can definitely get me to make you make that commitment to me. And the relationship that you have, you'll definitely be able to get 5 people that can give you 1,000, or 10 people that can give you 500. So that's some of the best practices that I've seen that works. You leveraging on other people's relationship, but you have to be able to do that network outside of the online process. It has to be your reputation and the relationship you've built beforehand that would help. So I hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So another thing is that big money chases people away. So if you say, oh, I'm raising 1 million, or I need 1 million, people will not donate because they feel it's a goal you can never reach. But what if you don't tell them the amounts you need, and tell them that, and break it down into units? So if you tell them that, oh, I need to get I need to get I need to get let's say that 1 million will cover something for 100 people, then you say you need to get this done for 100 people, and it should be if one person could donate 1,000, if you could get 100 people to donate 1,000, or if you could get 1,000 people to donate 1,000, then it will be covered. Then it makes more sense to people that they are only donating 1,000. The moment you just like saying, you are asking, someone is asking to come and borrow them money, and person, come and borrow me 1 million. Before knowing it from your spinal cord, without even thinking about it, you tell the person, I don't have. But if the person says, give me 1,000, you most likely want to say, okay, I can look at it. So by getting 1,000 from that person reduces the money to 999,000 that you're looking for. So that way you can always break it down to those smaller units to be raised. So you realize that a lot of people are able to chip in something the moment it's not so much. Sheyi, please go ahead and ask your question. Sorry.
So you actually answered my question because can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I've had my own fair share of experience in fundraising, and so is so much that some people just do me that, okay, I'm raising funds for a particular thing now and all that, and donate and things like that. So I you just said something about putting, if you put a large amount of money, it might not just go well, because I've been fundraising for a particular project for over 10 weeks now, almost over 100 days actually, and we just raised less than 10% of the total amount. So I also wanted to ask, is there a particular point you get to that you just know that, for instance, this particular project you can't just fundraise for it? The best option is to just switch to reaching out to donors, to sponsor, like companies to sponsor, because there are some projects that are very capital intensive and you can't just fundraise for such kind of project. Is there anything like that?
So
Because
what I do is what I said earlier, by diversifying my methods. So I engage all the different methods
okay.
from the same. I write grants, I write to corporate sponsors, I submit proposals to corporate sponsors, I begin to ask individuals. So even if I get money from individuals, those will facilitate my transportation, my of all of those things for the corporate sponsors when it finally opens up. It
Okay, I
also
think that's
helps me to show that I have so amount to, and it's, I can also use those individual donations to start the project, to be able to show commitment that I've started the work, or in terms of grant to cost share.
that's all.
Is that clear? Emmanuel, please go ahead.
Okay,
Yes.
right. Good evening. Hi, good evening, Dr. Shigon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, let me make it very brief. Concerning fundraising, I've had one issue. Like when I was done with that, I said I vowed to myself I won't do fundraising again. Because I went extreme. I made calls. I even had to educate people how to do the
Did
donation and
somebody?
everything.
Okay, continue, please.
Like I don't know. At a point, some people were saying they don't have trust over the payment channel. I said that about Flutterwave. Who doesn't know Flutterwave? And what I realized was that this part of the world, they are scared of putting their details online. Some of them were saying this is scam, this is how MMM came and all that. I said this is not MMM. Some of them even thought it was multi-level marketing. So I really don't know. I really don't know how. Is it that the crowdfunding of a thing in Africa here it's still emerging, or how do we come over this on education about crowdfunding?
Well, it's actually it's actually a major big deal, and a lot of things that just surround fundraising is actually like very funny. I I, I perfectly understand the skepticism amidst Nigerians as regards donating online and everything. And I think it will get better. I actually really think it will get better over time. But what we can do is to like the same answer, diversify donation methods. So there are people that will say, we cannot donate online, and we have account number, take, or you understand those kind of things. So make it easy for people to be able to donate. And another thing that is helpful, I don't know the type of project, but another thing that might be helpful is to think about it creatively. So like that adopted thinking that I just showed you, it's not just about the money, but it also explores engaging the people in the process, so they know that we are doing it together, and it's not just they wanted my money alone. So that can also help to educate people as regards what you're going to be using their money for, because it is well detailed and they see all the processes that it entails, and money was the last thing that was mentioned.
Right.
Yeah, so you can always look at that more holistic approach towards it. But there are a lot of shit that happens in fundraising. I've had people send me out of their office before. I've had people talk to me anyhow in the past. It's just one of those fun things that when I think about now, it makes me smile. But it's one of those sacrifices that we make for the greater good. And always understand one thing, that some people will go over the moon about your idea and about your cause. I've entered offices that people will say, only if we have 10 of you in Nigeria will not be a different place. And I'm like, no, we have more than 10 of me in Nigeria. It's just that you don't know about them, or maybe they need one form of support or the other. While a lot of people just look at you as if you're shit. So what I have done, and I still continue to do, is to take solace in those that are favorable and those that appreciate the work that we are doing. Not everybody will understand your cause, even and that's one thing as a leader. If you want to be liked by everyone, then you should not be a leader. You should be selling sweet and ice cream. But if you really want to embrace a cause, not everybody will appreciate your cause. A lot of people will think it's bullshit. A lot of people will think it's a good thing, and that's the way it is everywhere. That's the way policies are, and you cannot just satisfy everybody, no matter how good you are.
Right.
Yeah. Any other one? Okay, so in the absence of any other question, I think we'll call it a day here. We spent 1 hour 40 minutes. I will remind you of all your assignments, including the COVID-19 challenge. I would appreciate if you guys meet during the week or during next week, since there won't be class next week, to go through the idea. We would love to see very exciting, well thought through, inspiring, and paradigm shifting ideas. Do have a great evening. And for those of you who had network issues, you can always find the recorded version on Canvas. I uploaded yesterday's own already, and I'm going to upload this one just under it. Instead of going to conference, it is now under module. So you will see module as regards I think grant writing and fundraising also. Then you will see a link to read the this class discussion, or to watch this class discussion. So you can always go through it later during the week. So do have a lovely evening and stay safe. Bye for now.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much, sir. Good night.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir.